Hey y'all, it's Tony from Ropes and Wings. I'm here with Chad from Greater Things and Brad, and we're going to talk. We're going to do this as a trial run. We're going to talk and get together maybe weekly, monthly. I'm not sure how we're going to do this, but we're going to talk, and our conversations go all over the place. So it's going to be interesting. So I guess I want to open it up with Brad. Tell us about how, you know, it came to you that we should be working together, you and I, and how that come about.
Well, it started out with our first session, and for about the past, I don't know, for about the past 6 months, I just kept getting these messages. You need to reach out to Tony, and I kept making excuses, saying no, saying no, he's too busy, because I just don't know what you're up to. Most people are just busy, and so finally, yeah, I decided to book another session with you, and it was so good because we were supposed to have the session, but we sat and we talked for like 5 hours, and we realized like holy smokes, like there's so much to talk about, and how good it felt to be talking to another like-minded person, that's open-minded and has had a lot of experiences. So for me, that was a selling point.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow,
It's
that's
awesome.
amazing.
So here we are, and I think this would be a good trio for us to do shows on a regular basis, and see what comes up of it. It's awesome. So we have Chad here, who's actually my cousin, and was kind of raised in the deep Christian root background that I was, and he has an interesting approach to this stuff and a new understanding of things going on. And so, you want to tell your story there, Chad?
Well, it'll be way long, right? I got to figure out how to keep it short. Yeah. Good morning,
Keep it
Tony.
short.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely grew up extremely religious, very strict, rules and performance, oriented. And, my wife left in 2020, and I think especially because of the religion and the way I'd been brought up, marriage was like the thing. Marriage and family was some sort of, I guess it was probably my identity, maybe you would say. And so I completely lost my identity when that happened. And of course, came through the painful process of realizing that that was not a healthy identity. And man, everything in my life has changed since then. It feels like, man, I mean, so many things, just um, hobbies and activities and who I am and my spiritual beliefs and kind of uh, leaving Christianity, really, right? Like I still consider myself a follower of Jesus Christ. I love his teachings. I think he's has wonderful, wonderful spiritual teachings, and they're very, very important in my life. But I've come to question so many other tenets of the quote unquote Christian faith that we have here in America today, and find them just, well, I think works of not good things, right? Very, very unhealthy. I want to call it evil, the enemy. I don't know, but wow. Just yes. So many really. I've come to hate religion, I guess, or dislike, at least, let's say, find it not helpful, and actually a hindrance to I think, our true spirituality and who we're created to be. So life is it's a rebirth, which of course Christianity likes to talk a lot about, right?
Right.
But I think it's the true rebirth of what Christ actually meant when he talked about rebirth.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's an awesome explanation too, Chad.
Thank you.
So, well, let's see where this topic goes. So, Chad, why don't you read the pivot year, and then we'll read the heart thing, and then we'll
Journeys of
have
the heart.
yeah.
Okay. So the pivot year, Brianna Weiss, day 10. The journey is not how you place down what's weighing on you, but how you learn to stop picking it up. Not when you decide to stop, but the strength of your resolve not to begin again with the habits, the people, the thoughts, the behaviors that you know can only lead you to your own self-destruction. It's how you realize your familiar unhappiness, how you decide you've outgrown the emotional crutches that have soothed you and distracted you and held you when you most needed it. How you move forward is what you begin to reach for in their place. And that's the pivot year. And then Journey to the Heart is Melody Beattie, who I have not read this, but Codependent No More. I'm certain that I've heard that title before, and I guess it was a bestseller. So, and this book is Daily Meditations on the Path to Freeing Your Soul. And day 10, or January 10th, she's got the months in there too. Pivot year just has a day number. And this is titled Value Your Passion. For too long, we have wrongly judged our passion for living, our vitality and zest for places, people, things, and ideas. And this is in italics. I shouldn't have what I want. I shouldn't say what I like. I shouldn't get too excited. And those three phrases, wow, they remind me of sort of the way I believed growing up religious. And I don't know what your background was, Brad, but Tony, I imagine you felt those in the religious circles we grew up in, right?
Oh yeah, still today yet.
What helps us come to life? What takes us out of the motions and into our emotions? What connects us to the energy of life, the energy of love, the energy of the life force that permeates us all? All your growth, all your work has not been to lead you away from your passions, to turn you into a robot. It has been to bring you back to life, rebirth, to put you in touch with the vital energy of the universe, an energy that permeates all that is, an energy that permeates you. Honor your passion by honoring your emotions. Feeling your emotions releases passion into life. Feel them all. Then you will know what you like, what instills passion in you. Once you know and recognize that, you'll know which direction to go. Expressing passion and gratitude will guide your life. Say it again and again. Say it until you believe it. Say it until you live it. And I'll repeat it. Expressing passion and gratitude will guide your life.
That's awesome.
Good reading. So let's have Brad pull cards now and see how all that aligns, and we'll go from there. It'll be interesting.
All right.
And this is a brand new experience for me. I've never had anybody do cards. I've never even watched it, I don't think.
Have you? This is pure evil and from our Christian upbringing.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of goes along with the use of muscle testing and trusting your intuition, basically.
Oh, Tony, I don't want to disrupt though. But while he's doing that, I'm reading this book that somebody recommended. I love these random things that occur in life, these messages, as Brad called them earlier. I'm reading this book called Letting Go. Mm-hmm. And this guy had some crazy spiritual experiences throughout his life that he dismissed, and long story, but he ends up writing this book and this Letting Go. It's all about letting go, which is fantastic. But they talk about muscle testing a lot in that book, and like significant stuff, like stuff that we don't know the answer to. Our body can sometimes answer with this muscle testing, and his description of how to do it was with two people. So you take a tester and then the person, and I think you just hold down on their arm and feel their strength. So it's a little bit subjective, right? Because you've got two people trying to do a test. But that's the way they do the process. And, things like apparently fluorescent lights tend to weaken you. And, there's all sorts of things that he's mentioned in this book, but that's a really good one. And I find it very interesting to see that muscle testing showing up there.
I just got reminded of another, muscle test, basically the lean in test, So if you're standing there, you're standing there in front of food or whatever, you're at the supermarket, and if your body leans into it, it's something you need. If it doesn't, it's something that you don't need.
Wow. There
So
was a brief mention of he called it a pendulum, and he said about leaning, but
it
might have been that.
You could use a pendulum to test. It's just the lean in test and that test that I do with that non-dominant ring and then the dominant finger trying to break that bond. And if it's a yes, you can't break that bond no matter what you try. And if it's a no, then you can break it easily. And that lean in test, you're just standing there and you feel your body lean into it. It's something you need if you don't lean into it. And sometimes you actually feel your body go back. And I tried it the other day again, and I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, that works great.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then you got the pendulum that you can use, but to try to do that somewhere where you're out and about it's like impossible.
No, and when I said pendulum, he was saying it was the description of the body test. He was saying you treat your body like a pendulum and it leads one way or another. I think I was driving and it was an audiobook. It was just yesterday, actually. Like this is just recent when I was listening to that section.
So that lean in test is actually the pendulum test that he's talking about then.
Yeah, he said use the body like a pendulum or something. That's why I use that right. term. But
and then so with the pendulum, you basically program it to, if it goes clockwise, it's a yes.
Oh.
And if it goes you want a no, it maybe either sit there or go counterclockwise.
Oh, okay.
And so there it's actually doing it. So give me a yes. And it starts going.
You mean a yes question?
Yeah. Give me a yes, and it starts going clockwise.
Is your name Tony?
Yeah. So they all work, and it's your body. Your body knows all the answers. So
or the necessary ones.
Yeah. It's interesting. So what do you got there, Brad? This is going to be an interesting conversation today.
Yeah. So the first card was a 6 of swords. So swords is like, hope I can hold this up right.
Yep.
It's usually has to do with the mind, knowledge, information. So you can see it's kind of like the man, woman, and child are leaving and going on an adventure. And there's these swords represent knowledge, information, which is, to me, it's kind of interesting. There's so many different ways you can interpret these cards.
Sure.
The second one is the 8 of Wands, which is action. Like that's the fastest card in the entire tarot deck. And then the last card, which I thought was really cool, is the 6 of Cups, and you see like a woman and her little girl, and there's flowers, and it's all beautiful. And so the way that I see that is we're kind of, we've kind of been coming out of choppy waters with that first card. All the swords are there representing knowledge, information. It's like we've been trying to swim past all of the deception that's been put in front of us. Now it's time to take action with the 8 of Wands, and then, this is kind of where we all want to be eventually. So,
right, and that actually goes along with us pursuing our passions and what you read in the heart. I already forgot what the pivot year said, and I just took what was in the
journey to the heart.
Journey to the heart. That kind of it all matches up, and it's really interesting how it does.
Well, I guess I'm looking back as well, trying to remind myself. I summarize it as moving forward, reaching for the new, not continuing to reach for the old. And then the last sentence in the pivot year is how you move forward is what you begin to reach for in their place, talking about emotional crutches that soothed and distracted you from the past.
Oh, that's so interesting. And so interesting how they all aligned, the cards, and both of those books kind of align on the same.
Yeah.
Oh, it just makes me excited how it all just kind
Mhm.
of matches up and comes together.
It's an exciting journey in front of us.
So
Uh,
that speaks about us getting together and talking too. Is we've all come from
it's
different
very interesting.
places and different knowledge bases and have gone through different things, but now we're just coming into that where we'll be able to share that knowledge and and bring the passion, bring the passion back.
Tony, I'd love to hear a little bit more uh, about your story, Brad. I don't know if I mean, you guys talked for 5 hours, so I guess Tony, you know a good bit of it. But
Yeah, go ahead.
what is your background like, Brad?
So yeah, I grew up Southern Baptist,
Oh,
so we're all we're all right there. Yeah, so that's interesting. I think that was one of the talking points that Tony and I had actually. So yeah, a Southern Baptist, grew up um, not liking church at all until I
oh,
went. Yeah, until I went with it was my girlfriend in high school. She went to a non-denominational church, and it was
hmm,
fun,
yeah,
and
okay,
I didn't have a problem with that. So it, I'll tell you what's crazy though. What made me leave the church was one of the girls I dated was, I think she was like a quarter black, just fairly dark skin. And I came home and my dad said, "Yeah, so and so at the church said he saw you driving around with a fill in the blank person," and but
mhm,
like a negative N word, and I was just
yeah,
like, and this guy was a big part in our
oh,
church. He was an important person. So that just, I told him, I said, I'm never going back to church ever
mm,
again. Um, and that was, it was hard, but it wasn't hard. It was just hard to see uh, the hypocrisy,
hmm,
I guess, in the church. So
hmm.
yeah, after that, I went to culinary school, and like
Culinary
you,
school.
yeah,
We've been
yeah,
talking about needing a caterer, Tony, right?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right. That's what Brad and I were talking
You
about
already talked
is,
about. All
yeah.
right.
yeah,
Sorry, go
yeah.
on, Brad.
No, you're good. So I lived in Phoenix for 20 years, and just like you, man, I came back here, and in 2020, me and my wife split up. Um,
Oh,
and so yeah, it's been rough, but it's been great. You know what I mean? Like it had to happen. It had to happen.
hmm.
I was trying to have an awakening. She was trying to keep being the same old person, and it
Ah,
just, separated. So,
wow. Yeah. How long were you married?
well, we got married in 2012 when we
Okay.
had our son, but we had been together since 2001. So it's a pretty long
Oh,
time, 19 years.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's shockingly similar to my story. I was married 20 years.
Wow. Okay. See.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you say that you were trying to have an awakening, I didn't think of it that way, but through the process, I have discovered a lot of things that my ex-wife was like hindering in me, a lot of messages that she gave to me. And because marriage was so much my identity, I wasn't really allowed to pursue the things that I felt that I needed to pursue.
Yeah.
So I was getting a lot of pushback in a lot of ways. I felt I had started to feel trapped before she left in my job and income level because she had a certain expectation, lifestyle and expectation, and I couldn't, really pursue other things because I had discovered books on like small farms and I sort of had an interest, and I don't know if I would have pursued that or not, but it suddenly became a possibility that I had never considered before as far as being able to make a living on a small sustainable sort of CSA type program and a small piece of property rather than like a whole farm which costs, millions of dollars or something. um and so I remember having that idea and dream and her just being so negative towards it. And yeah, I don't I see a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
the silly little thing is I remember her speaking poorly of me attempting to dance in the past. And we grew up, of course, and Southern Baptists didn't dance either, right? So I think you can
Right.
probably relate to that. It's just, dancing is pure evil. But I remember that, and it wasn't until after she left, and there was a moment when someone was encouraging me to dance at a party, and I was like, I don't dance. And she was like, why not? And I sat there and was thinking about it, and I realized, oh my goodness, my ex-wife told me I shouldn't dance and that I can't dance, and it was this personal thing that I took on, and and I'm not trying to blame her per se, right? Because this is my decision, so it was my fault. But I had this epiphany in that moment, and wow, it was months later that I just said, fuck it, I'm going to dance. And I don't know how to dance, but I don't care. And it was amazingly freeing. I mean, it's like one of the most freeing things in life that I experience is just dancing.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever tried drumming, like doing a drum circle or anything like that? Yeah.
No, I've never had anything like that.
That's pretty good. Dance is definitely more, moving the whole body, but even just kind of getting into a trance, playing a hand drums.
I can feel it. That sort of resonates with me and sounds exciting and interesting. And isn't there's like there was an exercise sort of craze program that was going on that was some sort of drumming, right? Like, I feel like, I don't remember if there was a name. Zumba is dance, right? That's dance. But I'm sure it was like sticks, and they were like pounding on the floor and doing things. I think there's some sort of exercise somewhere that I saw.
Yeah.
Is there a name? Have you seen that? No name?
I haven't, no.
And you haven't even seen it, Tony?
No.
I heard it somewhere. I think I saw I think they were just sitting cross-legged in a circle, but it's like considered like this class thing. It was a group of people and an exercise class, and they were just pounding on the floor on the rubber mats,
Yeah. I feel like that's just kind of the time we're in, is because I used to see, like, here where I lived here before, and then I moved back, so I was gone for 20 years, and used to see the hippie people, like, setting up drum circles at the park, like, all the time. And it's just, you don't see that anymore. So it's I feel like so much has been lost, like, I don't know if we're just on our phones too much, or people are working too much, or what the problem is, but it'd be nice to try to revive some of that.
We need to get back to that frequency and using frequency for healing. And that's what drumming does. Drumming, humming, all that stuff, that frequency, that heals the body. And your first session, Brad, it was all about frequency and frequency healing. Remember, we went to that, the World's Fair, and you got in that room where it was frequency, and I think maybe lights too. I'm not sure. But I think
lights were involved, yeah.
It was really interesting. It was this healing chamber you went in that resonated a certain frequency and basically healed the body within minutes and helped the body get back into alignment. And it was at a World's Fair, and I don't remember what year it was or something, but it was pretty crazy. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it was all about frequency. Your whole session was pretty much about frequency and using frequency for what you're doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And you've kind of fallen out of playing instruments now.
I did.
As much.
Yeah, I did. And that was probably the hardest thing. I noticed it after we split up, that was probably the hardest thing. And lately it's even kind of been cooking too. It's almost kind of like things have to go away for a while to be reborn, something new.
Wintering. It's a normal process.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a book called Wintering.
Oh, wow.
And, it's not Christian or anything like that. And I don't know. That's a big thing right now in my life, because I also struggle with this tremendous guilt maybe that's not the right way to describe it. It comes back, the guilt, the fear, because I'm launching out trying to figure out how to make a living, doing coaching and some IT consulting on more of a side thing, but whatever, opportunistically, right? Whatever arises. And I've never done this, right? I don't know if it's going to work, right? And so there's this fear, and then a lot of guilt over not working hard enough, right? Like I just, I constantly feel like, oh, I'm being too lazy, right? I need to work harder. I need to work harder. I need to work harder. And it's such a weird thing because I just believe that it's wrong and it's coming from the wrong place. It's coming from my programming, and it's not who we're designed and created to be. Work is not to come from this place of have to and must and should and push, 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 push. But it should come more from just who we're created to be and flow and feel, even at times, and I've felt this with the coaching, at times feel like it's harder to keep it in than it is to let it out, right? But I just struggle with this guilt a lot, right? And wintering is just something that came up in a coaching thing yesterday because of that book. Of course, we're also in winter, and like this is something that the creator, I believe, is designed on purpose. This is here. Nature does this. Mother Nature, which also hit me yesterday because I'm not very close to my mother, and I have some abandonment issues, and I think some things tied to that, even though, I mean, she was a great mother, she was present, etc. So it's not this terrible story. There's still these wounds. And so the wintering, Mother Nature, these things all came together for me yesterday. And I thought, taking rest when I feel the need is like me allowing the divine mother to nurture me. So that's the latest sort of, I don't know, step in letting go of this guilt, I think, of work harder.
Yeah. And it's all that programming that causes us to think that way and causes more stress, and just letting go of that. And we're about to be hit with a severe winter storm here, and I don't know about you guys too, and something to think about.
I haven't been paying attention. It's very cold here, that's for sure.
So time to just step back and just take that rest and regroup, recenter, rebalance, and come at it again. And I think too, we follow a passion. We follow something we're passionate about, and we do it to the best we can. And then, the passion, we don't have as much passion for that thing anymore. And we find something else new that we're more passionate about, and we move that direction, and we do that for a while, live out that passion for as long as we can. And when we've done that, then, we'll move to something else as we're more passionate about. We just keep going with the flow of life, and just keep discovering, learning, doing different things. And I don't think we have to be set to do one thing for the rest of our life and be miserable at it just because we gotta make money. We gotta be, it's hard.
Yeah, that's a great point. What comes up for me, Tony, when you say that is also your experience of that desire. I think that inside of your creative, who you're created to be, perhaps, is helping others, healing others, and that's just a theme that's in your life. And you were doing that as a paramedic, but you reached a place where you felt like it was no longer fulfilling, even though one could say, oh, well, if your passion is healing people, then what better occupation could you have, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And it wasn't really healing anybody because it was helping people, kind of. You were the light in a dark time for people, and that's about it. We weren't really necessarily helping, or actually we weren't necessarily healing people. We were just a light in a dark time to help people out of their crisis.
But it's hard to see. I look at it, as well as the things in my life, it's hard to let go of that thing that we thought was what we were supposed to do. It was partly fulfilling who we were supposed to be, and take the risk of letting go of that, because it sort of feels wrong sometimes to let go of some of these things. It felt wrong for me to let go of a lot of Christian teaching, right? And so it's just amazing and difficult, but that, I don't know, launching onto that journey into knowledge, thinking of the the
Right.
tarot cards, is so freeing and new, and it can feel wrong, I guess, is the thing that I'm highlighting here and feeling is.
Mhm. So, but I did it for 30 years, so that pretty much
Mm.
became my identity.
Mhm.
I was the paramedic. I still and I
Mhm.
still function like that, and to let that go,
Mhm.
it was scary. And it's still scary because now
Yeah.
with things going on, I'm like, man, I should have never let that license go. I should have just kept working,
Right.
because that guilt comes in because I'm not able to,
Mm-hmm.
there's a low spot right now, so I'm not providing like I should be.
There's that should word.
Right. Right. And but with that with that wintering of things going on, maybe, sessions aren't booking as much as they were, and I wasn't as busy as when Brad, was talking
Mm-hmm.
about. Um, but it's caused a wintering that has caused me to shift my focus and learn something new and try to figure out something new,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that's what I need to do now is I need to figure this other thing out and be passionate about that too, so I can fix the situation and then help others.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it's less about fixing and more about learning,
Yeah,
following the path.
right.
Guys, I'm gonna go try to grab another chair. This one's not working out for me. I'll
No,
be
that's
back in
fine.
just a
Go
second.
ahead.
All right, brother.
Go ahead. Can't have a rough chair.
Mm.
So yeah, I just think that,
Mm.
we have these low times for a
Yeah.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
The universe, I asked for help and assistance, and this is what I got.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that I get thrust down with videos and other information that's presented to me, then I get thrust down a different road.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
thrust down a different road. Just
and that occurred to me, and even some judgment there at first. But you were like, "Hey, I discovered these new things," and I thought to myself, "Oh, does this relate to like trying to do videos and just trying to do something and find a way and just I don't know." And so that's the judgment part, which is not positive, and I don't want to hang. I'm just sharing that to be vulnerable,
yeah.
and um, and it's not helpful. But this pain, if we can call it that you're experiencing, this maybe pain isn't the word we want to use. I don't know. Does pain feel like a good word, or
Yeah, it's pain.
pain?
It is kind of
It's
pain.
pain, struggle that you're in is causing you to find out and discover other things. Like it occurs to me too that it feels like you have this recurring thought of like a podcast idea, right? And it's not the first thing that I've been thinking of, right? I'm thinking of just, okay, let's just put out these videos. But this is something that keeps coming up from you, I feel, right? So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's significant or, well, it's significant. I don't know what all it means. But now you've, started these much bigger, broader conversations with Brad. And so it's just like, and discovered that thing on TikTok. It's like, wow, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. What are we learning here? What is the beneficial learning here for us all in this? Especially you, of course, but since it's coming to you mostly, but
Well, and I think, we've gotten away from sharing stories around the fire like we used to, especially as men, where that stuff
oh yeah.
is so important to our growth and acquiring knowledge and experiences that we don't do it anymore. So
Yeah.
that's kind of why I formed the Telegram group. The
Mm-hmm.
chat's called
Right.
Bonefire Chat, and
Oh,
we
I didn't see that.
you didn't see that Bonefire Chat instead of Bonfire, because it was originally called Bonefire because you're casting your bones in the fire.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so we don't do that anymore as men, especially, and
Mm-hmm.
we're missing
Yeah.
that aspect of that. And
I think you're right.
For the three of us to get together and share our experiences and our pain, our things that we learned, is actually going to be helpful to a lot of people, not only men but also women too as well. And I just think that us just getting out there and making those connections with people so they can relate, so they can resonate with it and go, oh, what if I try that? What if I do that? It might not work for them because, they're different people, but it gives them ideas and things to pursue and what to do.
Yeah.
So I think us getting together, especially the triad of us getting together and sharing our experiences and what we've gone through and is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Brad got from those visions or whatever he was seeing, is that, helping people and sharing experience. And I believe,
I mean, and I think, I know that you have, an online presence and quite a few followers. You're way ahead of me in terms of followers and things. And that's something that I'm just kind of starting to look at and explore and experiment with the videos that I'm doing. And, I think we can help each other there too, right? When we start to pool our separate followings together, and I don't know, it's just interesting. Who knows where this will lead? It's exciting.
It is really exciting.
Really exciting.
I think it's awesome. Get a comfy chair there now, Brad.
Oh my God.
Get settled in.
I was sitting on this little stool and it was about to kill me. I feel so much better. Thanks, guys. All right.
It doesn't work as well for my video, but I have the same deal. I have a stool, but I stand and just like, it's like a leaning stool. That's when I go down like this. It's like I'm leaning on this stool that's kind of, it has a rounded bottom. It's a little unusual. But it's not as comfortable, but I tell myself it's healthy.
But you stand up and
I go back and forth. Yeah.
Change your position.
Well, I mean, and it's not ideal for me being on video, right? Because I'm changing, but for what people are seeing, right? But I like changing my position too. But anyway,
yeah.
So Brad, something. Oh, go ahead, Tony.
No, you go ahead. Yeah, I was just going to do what you were going to do.
Something struck me as you were sharing, and I thought, I guess it's a very common human thing, perhaps, but there were two other things that came up for me when you were saying a little bit about your story. You mentioned the cooking, and then obviously you went to culinary school. I never did any of that, but also music, and both of those are themes in my life as well. So I thought maybe I'd share that very briefly. I never really cooked much while I was married. When my ex left, I was desperate for trying to pull my family together, whatever I could, preserve relationship. And my kids were right there at seniors in high school, so they were kind of out starting to launch, and do their own thing. So one of the things I started doing was doing Sunday dinner or lunch every day, cooking, right? And I got into I did stuff from scratch and learned a number of things about cooking, right? And I would cook this for every Sunday for, I don't know, close to a year probably. And then I finally let it go because my kids were just never able to come, and the ex wasn't coming. But it was great practice, and I discovered this love for that, and it kind of left because I moved, we sold the house, all these different things, and now I've kind of started to get back into it a little bit. It is something that's kind of special to me. And then the other thing is music, and I participated with the worship team singing at my church. And when my ex left, of course, it was COVID and all that, so all those things changed. But my ex accused me of being a hypocrite, which had, had some truth in it, right? Because there is a certain amount of get up there and you seem wonderful and perfect and all that, right? In front of everybody, but your lives are not perfect either, right? But because of that, I stepped back from that, and I haven't really done it much. But I have always loved. Maybe not always, but about as far back as I can remember, have loved to sing. In fact, that story goes deeper for me. I remember my father saying I couldn't sing at some point when I was singing in the bathroom or something, and he was like, "You just don't have it. Just like me, you're not a good singer." And man, that wounded me. I carried that for years. Maybe, well, I guess I still carry it, honestly, huh? Otherwise, I wouldn't be sharing that story. It's amazing how those words can impact us. And I remember praying, God, if you will allow me to sing, like give me the ability to sing, I'll use it for you. Because back then it was all about like the calling and, use it for good. Don't use it for secular music because that's a devil. Um, I don't like the secular spiritual divide anymore. I think that's a problem. But I remember praying that. And Tony, your brother, Quentin, is the one that got me to sing. He encouraged me to join because at that time, after that, I was like, okay, I can't sing, even though I did and enjoyed like, group singing or the congregational singing, I guess we could say, at church and all that. And your brother talked me into joining the high school ensemble thing way back in high school at Penn View there. And that sort of helped me start singing sometimes. And then I got a few instances where people, I got some positive encouragement and reinforcement about, my voice and things like that. And, I just have always loved to sing. Stepped back away from it again when my ex left and, made more comments. And it came up in a coaching session where my coach said something about being able to see me as a motivational speaker or something. And I'm like, whoa, I did that in college. So, not motivational, but preached, because I went to Bible college. And, I guess I kind of enjoyed it, but I felt guilty about it, right? I've always felt like, oh no, you're just going to get proud. You're going to be proud and you don't want that. And that's terrible. And so I've pushed that down. And so when she said that she didn't know my background, I realized I think this is something that I have been stifling, and I don't know where it's supposed to fit or what's supposed to happen, but I've been stifling it. And when I was thinking about that, I realized the music, the singing was part of that. And I'm like, whoa, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I don't know, but I kind of added a little tiny habit. Tony, I talk about that a lot, to my routine, which is I turn on these vocal warm-up exercises. I went to a vocal coach to talk to her. I wanted to talk about singing parts and sort of practicing that more. And she didn't really specialize in that, so I didn't go back, but she gave me some YouTube playlist of vocal warm-ups and things. And so my tiny habit is just to turn that on every morning, Tony. I don't require myself to sing it or push it. It's just I turn it on. I turn it on. Which sounds silly, and it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be fucking tiny, because otherwise it's too hard to do, and it takes that motivation. So make it really tiny, and I don't know where all that's going to go, right? I obviously do sing with it some, and I don't know. We'll see. I just met a girl who is a musician, trying to launch a career. So many similarities. She's coming out of Christianity. It's one of the reasons I was late this morning. I was still sleeping at 10 o'clock. Because I was out I went to Philly last night. We went ice skating and stuff, and then till I got home, it was 1:30. But anyway, wow,
Shit,
that was a lot.
That
Somebody else's turn.
That was a drive for you too, going to Philly, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Hour and a half.
Well, it took 2 hours to get there, hour and a half to get back without traffic. Yeah.
So, I forget where I was going to go with that then, but. In the sessions, we're removing blockages from the throat all the time, keeping people from singing, keeping people from voicing their truths. And so maybe we should have looked at that harder in our session, Chad.
My initial, I'm like, that's fine. That's my initial, that's what I feel coming up. But the truth is, I was also sitting in my chair this morning before this, and I have these neck issues. And what occurred to me is, I wasn't feeling this when Tony and I did our session. I wonder why not. Wasn't it there? Did it not come up? I don't know. But I have noticed, like, when I start trying to do some of my routines and working out, pull-ups, that I always get the stiff neck right back here, and well, I think it's the traps get really sore right here, and then it radiates up into my neck. That's pretty tender right there right now. So I don't know. I'm keep telling myself it's just normal muscle stuff, growth, rehealing, whatever, healing when you're doing a workout, whatever. But I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe it's a possibility there.
Yeah, so that first session was a training session. Now the second session here we'll go deeper and get the other shit that's there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well,
It's a possibility.
we'll keep thinking about it. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to look at that stuff because so I have two really good examples. My dad bought me a 4-track recorder when I started playing music, right? And he's like, "Well, let me hear one of your songs." I let him hear one of my songs. He's like, "Your voice isn't very good," or something like that. You know, it
Oh,
was something, and he loved
mm-hmm.
my guitar playing because my
Yep.
guitar playing is superior to my voice. I admit it,
Okay.
but
Uh-huh.
dude, it left such a huge,
Oh,
you know, it, and he would ask me occasionally, and I'd be like, "Do I even want to, thank you for buying me the 4-track recorder, but do I really, do I really want to subject myself to
yeah.
your criticism anymore?" Okay, so
Oh,
that happened, and it did it. It fucked with me for a long time. So maybe we can go in and we can look at that somehow. We could sort of regress the client back to that moment when that happened
Hmm.
uh-huh.
and rewrite the script
Oh
and go,
yeah.
"Hey, wow, Tony, you could be the dad and be like, wow, son, that was fucking awesome." And
Mm,
implant that memory. I'm just saying, it's an idea. Um,
yeah.
So what we do that all the time, Brad, too, is if a memory comes up like that,
mhm,
we're how I do it, we're shedding white light on the scene,
yeah.
shedding white light on the scene. And when we shed that white light on the scene, it changes the scene to what you would like it to be.
Mm,
And and clients, I mean, they can tell a difference because if there is no space and time and everything is happening in a now moment, I think we can rewrite. We're the only ones that look at it as past and present. But
mm-hmm.
I think we can rewrite that memory and which changes us now, if that makes sense.
It does. It feels like a stretch to me. It feels pretty far woo-woo for me at the
It-
moment. I'm going to be just honest.
yeah.
That comes up for me. But the thing is, I've been getting this from more than one angle. And so my coaching training is an organization called IPEC. And the guy that founded that, his name is Bruce Schneider. And he has written some books, of course. And one of them is, what is it called? I forget the name of it, but he talks a lot about lucid dreaming in there. And that's kind of the way this guy's life changes. It's a fictional story. Um, but in that lucid dreaming, the guy changes the past, like literally, like in the story at least. There was a thing where he had this assistant, and she ended up like doing all his job for him, and he became sort of like forgot that he could even do it himself and started to become insecure or whatever. But she had closed or helped close this giant sale, which paid him a big bonus, and so he bought her this bracelet, but it was a relatively inexpensive bracelet, right? It was, I mean, it was nice, and she was just the assistant, so she got paid like not much at all. But it wasn't a diamond bracelet. And he did this lucid dreaming, and he starts seeing these things, and he feels this guilt over not buying something more expensive, doing more for her because he did something, but he felt guilty because it just wasn't appropriately compared to the blessing that he received from the job she did. And so in his dream, somehow he went back and got her a diamond bracelet. And then she comes into his office like a couple days later in like not in dreaming state, and she is wearing this fucking diamond bracelet. So like he has it in that story, and I'm just like,
So
that's
they say that everything that happens in the astral realm happens here. So you've kind of got like the moon and, well, they call it the moon, but like Paramahansa Yogananda talked about, if you can rebuild your body in the astral realm, it will rebuild here. And he talks about that's how Jesus was able to do certain things. He knew how to manipulate the astral realm. So
uh-huh.
it's pretty interesting. So I would
Wow.
say that guy's probably not, it's probably not making it up or lying about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a story. So it's a type of thing, and I've seen this elsewhere, right? There's these people who write these quote unquote fictional stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because if they didn't just go ahead and put it out there more or less as fiction, that it would be stifled. And I feel like there was one about frequency and vibration, and I forget the name of that one, but it's the same type of thing. It's all these same truths of realizing that, hey, we're all one, and we need to let go of all these petty human disagreement things and the ego and all this stuff, right? So it was just right along that line, but it's just a fictional thing. And in that story, people, once you raise your vibration, your frequency high enough, you just basically cease to be in this realm, and people, you would disappear. People disappeared. They were gone.
Like the Mayans.
Yeah, actually, well, and it was looped into that a little bit. Yes, actually, I think I think some of it took place down there, and I think they talked about the Mayans a little bit. So yes, they were tying it in that, and that was the belief that they seemed to have about what happened to the Mayans. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually saw in a session, we actually saw the Mayans. I believe it was the Mayans. The Mayans or the Aztecs. I'm not sure who it was, because we viewed a lifetime as a priest, and actually talked to that priest. And what they did was, he was standing on top of the temple, and he was watching his people gather their things or gather their stuff and gather. And I said, well, what are they doing? Well, we're going to ascend. We're going to go, and we're going to go to a different dimension. And so
I remember you saying that before.
Right. And so there was a portal on top of that temple. And so everybody gathered their stuff, and they went through that portal into another dimension. And they're still there. We just can't see them in this reality that we are, because they're at a higher frequency, a higher dimension. They for sure can probably see us. And that's what I was asking that priest is, will we ever be able to see you or join you again? And he goes, you will. But right now, we can see everything you're doing, but you can't see us. We're in a different frequency, different vibration. So it's pretty crazy.
So, Brad, you mentioned Jesus doing those things and being able to do those things, and increasingly, I have a similar view of that. In that, I'm hesitant because it's certainly heretical, but I am a heretic.
Own it.
Oh, I have been. Actually, the girl that I met, she just mentioned that the other day. I was like, well, she didn't love that phrase very much. And I'm like, well, it's only in the evangelical Christian faith. It's in America today. I'm definitely a heretic. My theology does not match anymore. But and I guess, Tony, this comes from some of our conversations, and it's almost like I'm hesitant or scared of taking away from the deity of Christ. But I'm really not, I guess. I'm more starting to see our own deity, right? And how we're one. And Christ said, I am one with the Father. Nothing I do or can do or say is separate from him. I am one with him. And then he also says, he wants us, his followers, to be one with him as he is one with his Father. Like, it's in their scriptures, quote unquote, they, as far as religious circles we grew up in. They ignore that part. And then there's a scripture that Jesus said to his followers, you will do greater things than I have done. And that's that's the name of my business. It's greater things. And that was sort of an accident. That came from the previous church that I went to, and they were trying to come up with a mission statement or a theme or something, right? Something that somebody would remember. And that was one of the options that I was very close with the pastor. We would walk every Tuesday for a long time in the early morning. And he shared that with me, that greater things was one of them. The statement, 2 words. And I'm like, that's it. That's perfect. There's so much possibility in that. It's so short. People will remember it. I just absolutely loved it. And they didn't pick it. I don't know what was wrong with them. They picked something else. And so I took the liberty at that time, years ago, before my ex even left, to buy the domain with the number 8 in it, because I think greater things without it wasn't available or something. And that has ended up becoming the name of my coaching business that I'm setting up, or trying. And I keep seeing that and like, whoa, this is kind of cool. This is interesting how this all came about.
Life's pretty trippy, man. If you have the eyes to see it and the ears to hear, it's pretty trippy.
Amazing.
So it's just so interesting. I guess, right now I view Jesus, Yeshua, as we're the same, my brother.
Mhm.
And we can do everything that he did, which would be blasphemy in the church.
Right. That's definitely a heretical viewpoint there, Tony.
So I think my dad, when I said what I was doing, doing hypnosis healing, and I think he said that only Jesus can heal. And I'm like, well, I could do everything that he can do, or he
Ooh, that went down well.
but you know me, I'm always throwing jabs in there just to get them irritated. I mean, just like that day we were back. What were we back for? We were back for Grandpa's funeral or something like that. And we're just throwing jabs, and it ended up pissing me off though. But
oh, that was with your brothers though. Your dad wasn't even out there. Back deck. I remember that. Yeah,
Dad wasn't out there.
I was stuck. I was stuck in the middle.
Right. I forget what we were even talking about. We were talking about something of that nature, of that we are one, that we can do. I forget what it was.
You made some statements, and I know Nathaniel was triggered first.
Yeah.
And he was like getting red in the face and kind of walking away, but then he was quoting scripture, and he was just like, you were wrong there, Tony. And he was,
yeah, he was mad.
Yeah, I remember that. And everybody was involved there. Their wives. I remember Labriska. No, not Labriska. The other Amber, Nathaniel's wife, saying some things to me about like, well, I hope you still believe in Jesus, and some of those things. But yeah, that was interesting.
And that was back before, like, when you just started getting on this path and started seeing things too. So
yeah,
you weren't quite there either with what I was talking about, really. But
yeah, that's a great point. I don't know what I would have said today if I was in that conversation. It wouldn't have been quite as middle of the road between you and them. That's for sure. It would have been further in your direction. But
I can't remember what the conversation was about or what was even said. I think it had to do with something about healing, and
I don't remember either.
Being able to heal. Or rescuing lost souls, something like that. I'm sure I got in that conversation just because I'm throwing jabs all the time.
Well, what it brings up for me, especially in thinking of Nathaniel's reaction, but I guess it's in all of us, though, to be fair, right? When I react that way, when someone doesn't agree with what I have come to believe, I think it's fear underneath it, right? It's fear that what I am believing is not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I want less and less of that, right? I don't want to fear. I want to be open to I don't know everything, and I want to learn, and I want to constantly reevaluate, my truth, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
That fear does not feel healthy. That causes me to get blind and latch on to some particular belief or whatever notion, and then fight for it. And that feeling I could see in Nathaniel extremely strong, right? I think it comes from fear of like, this has to be true because the Bible says it, and so now I can go grab that and say, here's my club, I'm gonna beat you silly because this is true. And it's a protective thing. And I think it starts from fear. It did for me. Thinking of when I was still believing that, and when people would challenge those beliefs, and it would make me think that feeling inside, like, oh no. I think it's fear.
So I don't have a problem with whatever anybody believes. I mean, they can believe whatever they want. I mean, because everybody's different. Maybe the way I believe is different the way you believe or Brad believes, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We can take things from each other, and that'll help us along the way. But I guess what really triggers me is when someone, out and out goes, "You're wrong." You're wrong, and just gets angry about it.
Yeah. Well, can I poke the bear back at you just a little bit, Tony?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, if you have no fear in you at all, it's okay for them to have a belief that you're wrong. Doesn't make any difference.
No, it doesn't, and it shouldn't make a difference.
Right.
It shouldn't make a difference. Just
But
like
that's the hard part, right? It's hard to get, like, I mean, I'm not claiming I'm there, by the way, right? When someone challenges me and says I'm wrong, it doesn't feel good.
or trying, not necessarily saying that I'm wrong, or trying to prove that their way is the only way and the right way.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to mention any names, but when that when
Are you you're thinking what I think I'm thinking? Yeah. Okay.
So when they wouldn't do that for me because I was in healing hypnosis,
Mm-hmm.
that triggers me, because it sends me back to memories as a kid, being raised in church, that
Mm-hmm.
this is the only way, the Bible is the truth, absolute truth. And
Mm-hmm.
it just triggers me. And I don't, not that I'm fearful of it, it's just I guess I don't know where that issue comes from, per se. It's not
Mm-hmm.
that I'm fearful, that I'm afraid that my way might not be the right way or something like that. It's just that memory, that trigger that pops up for me. Like, my dad, shares all this stuff with me, like, the government's doing this and the government's doing that, and we're being lied to about alien. He shared some stuff with me about aliens and stuff like that, and then I look at that and I'm like, how can you share this and see that all these things we've been lied to and deceived for this long? How can you then say that the Bible is the 100% absolute truth,
Mm-hmm.
when that can be easily manipulated, because it's written by man? And I'm not putting down the Bible in any way, because there's some amazing truths in the Bible. I mean, there really is, but you have to read it with an open mind, and and take what resonates with you and apply it to your life and what you can do. And I think,
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many different ways. If you watch that Santos video, there's people that are astrologers that will say, oh no, this actually means, the line of Judah is actually, I think, what was it, like when the sun was in Leo, and he's like explaining all of these different things. And if I had a better memory, I could give a few examples of that. But yeah, if you watch that guy's video, he'll show you how, from his perspective as an astrologer, this is like reading the maps of the stars, that's how he was saying they were able to, to foretell prophecy, was because they knew the movement of the stars. They knew this was going to happen. So it's interesting to
Mm-hmm.
me. It's like, yeah, were these real stories, or were they just written in the stars? Well, wouldn't it kind of both be the same thing? Like, wouldn't what happened in the stars also be happening here? So
Mm-hmm.
it's both
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think what sort of cements the letting go of the Christianity that I was brought up with is the realization that there is no arguing with the truth that man has manipulated the scriptures, from my perspective. And so I think we establish, in my head, I established that truth. This has happened. The Protestants during the Reformation went back and said, hey, we see all these problems with the current Catholic Church, and we're going to fix them. And we're going to create a new canon, and we're going to yank out a couple of books of scripture, because those weren't really supposed to be in there. Somebody messed up. So they were saying they, as men, could fix what previous men messed up. And it's like, all right, so wait a second here. This is, and of course they proceed to tell Tony and I guess you too, Brad, when we were children, the Bible is the one. It's the truth. God has preserved it. Yes, he used men, but there's magical truth in there that he specifically preserved just for us so that we would know the way. And anything outside of the Bible, no, better shy away from that, right? Be careful. And so when I arrive at that truth that no, man has manipulated, I realize, wait a second. in the scriptures itself, it talks about us being one with God, how we're supposed to be filled with his spirit, and his spirit is supposed to guide us. And he's going to put it in our hearts. And when I read all those things, I say, well, if that's true, why would a single book with all source of truth be necessary? It's not, it shouldn't be, right? Like, and is that then not like us putting God in a box? Let's put him in a book. All of God's revelation to mankind is now in this one book. You know, like, wow. Okay, that does sound like man's manipulation. And so that realization sort of was the final, like, oh, I'm just going to let go of, well, like you said, Tony, I think scriptures are still wonderful and valuable and full of truth.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer embrace the fundamentalist idea of the current Protestant Bible being the one and only, source of scripture, if you will. It's useful spiritual truth.
So I think we need to, so Brad and I talked about this. So you're reading those books, Chad, and Brad's pulling tarot cards. And I think what we need to do is do a Bible. We just open the book up and just whatever verse or whatever scripture pops out to you, read it for the day and see what it says.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a Bible handy? You don't have a Bible handy, do you?
Yeah, no, I can step aside and grab one. Yeah. I got an MSG version, which is a lot more readable than King James too.
Because what I want to see is how the cards, those books, and the Bible all align for today.
Let me grab it.
I think that'd be awesome. Don't you think, Brad?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Yeah, just have him just kind of like, do one of these deals where he just kind of like.
Oh, yeah. Is that a Bible? Do you have a Bible?
It is, but let him go ahead and do it. Yeah, because I already did the tarot cards.
Oh. Well, he already did the books. I just don't have a Bible like close to me, but yeah, Brad has a Bible right there.
It's my dad's Hebrew Bible that he had. So,
is it in Hebrew?
Well, it's got Hebrew on one page and English on the next.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting.
But I think it's only the Old Testament.
I think we lost your sound, Chad. Are you there? Something unhooked, unplugged. Nope, you're not there anymore.
How about now?
Oh, there you go. What happened?
I think it muted. Is there a mute button?
On the controller, there's a mute button.
I found it. Well, I couldn't. I think I dropped it when I was trying to put it on and off and bumped that because there was a red light here on my mic, and I just now unplugged it and plugged it back in, and then I got rid of it. But now I found it. The mute button's back here.
So, well, whichever one of you guys wants to do that, just
go for it, Brad.
You do yours because this is in Hebrew and English, so we're only going to get half the spectrum, if that makes sense, because we won't be able to read the Hebrew page. You see what I'm saying?
The same verse will be there in English. You pick the verse.
Okay.
You pick the verse, and then I depending on what version that is in English, I'll look it up in the Message as well because I really like them. I'm just a big fan of Eugene Peterson's The Message version. But
all right, here, give me a second. Let me grab my other Bible because this thing's huge. It doesn't flip very good.
That didn't flip well. So, Chad,
an interesting idea, Tony, because I remember I told you about the story with my ex-wife and all that, and how I got the Bible and opened it, and it said, God has seen the hardness of your heart, and then it said, go show your love to your wife, and then I decided to marry her and all that, and then years later I discovered it was from the book of Hosea, who God told to go marry a prostitute, and then she left and went back to prostitution and all that. Yeah, it reminds me of that. And I've grown up saying, don't do this. Don't do exactly what we're about to do.
Yeah.
And what I did in that scenario.
Oh, that's awesome. And I just, I think it aligns with, so it's the same thing, the same way that the tarot card or the cards work is, you're just flipping it open and going to the verse that you just initially just drawn to. And that's what, and we'll see how that aligns. I think that'll be interesting.
I just want to make sure I don't have any cards or anything in here that would mess it up. Okay.
This will be interesting.
I've only done this once, and it was pretty cool. All right, so let's see. Okay, so what I got was 1 Chronicles 14.
Okay. He's looking
Should I
it up.
read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Read
go
it.
ahead. Yeah, I'm just looking
Oh,
up.
no, I'll let him read it. He's so much better than I am.
No,
No,
I
you
wanna
do
hear
it. You go.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, just go.
All right, but who am I and who are my people that we should be able to give as generously as this? Everything comes from you, and we have given you only what comes from your hand. We are aliens and strangers in your
Oof.
in your sight. As were all of our forefathers, our days on earth are like a shadow without hope. Our Lord. Well, I don't know. Should I read just the first verse? I think you're just supposed to read the first verse. So it's just
Whatever you
14.
feel. Whatever you feel. Okay, so what was it again? First Chronicles
1 Chronicles 14.
1 Chronicles 14. Which verse? 1.
Sorry.
That
Oh
can't
my
be right.
gosh. No. Sorry. I'm rusty on this.
Yeah, okay.
1 Chronicles, chapter
Yep.
29:14.
Aha,
Gosh.
29. Got it. 29. It's very near the end of that book. 14.
You could have
All
went
right.
further, Brad, because that was actually really interesting and kind of pointing to everything that we're.
Yeah, read that again
Okay,
and
all
just
right.
stop wherever you feel like.
Okay, I'll just read that whole paragraph. I
Aliens.
guess. Right.
Strangers.
All right. But who am I and who are
Who
my
am I?
people that we should be able to give as generously as this? Everything comes from you, and we have given you only what comes from your hand. We are aliens and strangers in your sight, as were all of our forefathers. Our days on earth are like a shadow without hope. O Lord, our God, as for all this abundance that we have provided for building you a temple for your holy name, it comes from your hand, and all of it belongs to you. I know, my God, that you will test the heart, and that you are pleased with integrity, that all these things I have given willingly and with honest intent. And now I have seen with joy and how willingly your people who are here have given to you.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And it's just it's awesome that how it all just aligns right up.
Yeah,
That's
'cause didn't we
interesting.
talk about aliens earlier?
Yeah.
We did. Let's see. So what also stood out for me in that was how it all comes from him. It's not like it's just given to us. It's not a, hey, you work hard enough, you get ABC, right? Here's the formula. Nope, you didn't work hard enough. That's the problem. I decided not to bless you because you didn't work hard enough.
Yeah.
No, it's just blessing. It's just given. It is.
Yeah.
So let's see what this is. Eugene Peterson's interpretation. 1 Chronicles 29, starting at verse 14. But me, who am I, and who are these my people, that we should presume to be giving something to you? Everything comes from you. All we're doing is giving back what we've been given from your generous hand. As far as you're concerned, we're homeless, shiftless wanderers, like our ancestors, our lives mere shadows, hardly anything to us. God, our God, all these materials, these piles of stuff for building a house of worship for you, honoring your holy name, it all came from you. It was all yours in the first place. I got to keep reading.
Go ahead.
I know, dear God, that you care nothing for the surface. You want us, our true selves. And so I have given from the heart, honestly and happily. And now see all these people doing the same, giving freely, willingly. What a joy. O God, our God, O God, God of our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, keep this generous spirit alive forever in these people. Always keep their hearts set firmly in you. Hmm.
Hmm.
Give generously.
So it's just so interesting how it just all aligns with everything that's really actually going on in our lives, each of us individually. I think right now, I mean, it it it's so perfect. What was just read, it just makes sense. We're already abundant.
Hmm.
All we got to do is pursue our passions and just live life. We don't have to do anything else.
Mhm.
Huh. Chad's wheels are turning.
I could tell. Yeah, I'm laughing.
I'm just, I'm just
See,
processing and thinking.
Chad's more of what's the word I'm looking for? An order? Is that it? Order.
I don't know.
Then someone
Logical?
that no, you can speak very well.
Oh,
You're
orator. I see what you're saying.
order.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
thank you. Wow.
yeah. You're the knowledge and stuff just comes. It just goes. Whereas me, I think I'm more of an observer, and I like to watch different people and just soak in the knowledge that they're sharing. So, if we were sitting around a fire right now, I would be just sitting there enjoying the fire and listening to you guys' stories and just soaking it all in and just
Mm.
taking what I need. 'Cause I don't really have anything else to add.
Whoa. I think you're going too far there, Tony. Don't sell yourself short
Oh no, it's not selling short. I
what
just
you
don't.
have to offer.
Well, what I
Okay.
just
All
I
right.
just want to soak it in. I just want to listen to what
Mhm.
you guys have to say about it.
But we want to hear what you had to say as well.
Yeah.
Well, I just said it.
Well, thank you.
We
Thank you
don't.
for sharing.
We're already abundant.
True. It's
All
true.
we need to do
You
is
did.
live our joy and our passions.
Mm.
It's already there. It's already in existence.
Mm.
And that's something that I struggle with constantly because of the way I was raised, the way I was taught, that we're always trying to pursue. We always feel like we have to do. We feel guilty when we're not doing. You know, um, when
Yeah.
the wife
Mm.
is going to work and I'm sitting here at home chatting with you two dudes. I mean, I kind of feel guilty in a way because I should be doing that, but really,
Mm.
I'm actually doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to be diving in and gaining more knowledge and figuring this stuff out. And if I was working, I wouldn't be able to do that right
Exactly.
now. And that's the reason for the wintering right now.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually that's going to change. I'll be back to being busy and going like crazy because I'm living out of passion because I wintered and I figured out what I need to do.
Mm. That's beautiful, Tony.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents. And Brad's kind of in the same position too. He, that you just quit your job.
Yeah. It was a shit
Really?
job. Yeah. It was yeah, it was at a little local yeah, like little local bar slash I don't know what you want to call it. They serve food and stuff, but I mean
Uh-huh.
it's nice people and stuff, but you just when you're hanging out with people all day and everybody's drinking and it's just like it just rubs off on you eventually.
Mm.
Eventually your vibration has to either match theirs or you have to just leave.
Uh-huh.
At least that's been my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same way with like people in my life, and it really sucks because I mean I'm talking. I was even talking to Tony about my son, and like
Mm-hmm.
we get
Mm.
along really well, but I said, man, whatever happens if he's not 18 yet, and we start really, am I going to vibrate out of his experience, or is he going to vibrate out of mine? Um,
Mm. Mm.
this journey, sometimes we have to make some really hard decisions. But when we make them, we just have to trust that it's for our best interest. And the example I gave Tony was, well, let's say that I end up separating myself from him at some point, and I don't plan on doing this, but
Mm-hmm.
he's wanting to get into MMA and do karate. And I heard Joe Rogan one day say the best MMA fighters that he had ever met didn't have a dad or something happened between them
Mm.
and their dad at a young age. So I'm just looking at this stuff going, okay, all right. It's kind of a heads up. Like if this happens, don't worry,
Mm.
because it's going to set you where you need to go, and it's going to
Mhm.
give him the fuel and fire that he needs to do what he needs to do. So um, that's kind of my new attitude lately, is just
Mhm.
kind of being more open about all of that stuff and trying to see everybody has a destiny.
I appreciate
And
the vulnerability, Brad.
oh, you're welcome.
Well, and I mean, it's kind of the same thing I'm going through with my son right now, where, you know, actually the kind of, you're not there. It hasn't happened there yet for you, but if it does, then you have the right attitude to do that, where it's happened for me. And I just got to sit back and go, he is on his path. He is doing
Mm.
what he feels he needs to do. And I guess, if I have to be the bad guy in his story and his reality right now to get him to go where he needs to go, then I guess that's just the way it has to be.
Mhm.
And I have to be cool with that, you know.
Mm.
And that's
There you
hard.
go.
It's hard to do as a dad, to
Very
be
hard.
to be cool with that. But especially when you know that you've tried to do all that you can, but he's just not seeing it that way right now, and it's okay. It's his path. He'll come around when it's time to come around, and it's okay. But that's something that we all need to practice, though, is being able to just let go of the, we can imagine how we want to see it, manifest it, but then just let go of the expectation, because we can't see it right now, but the universe, source, God has a bigger plan, and it's way bigger than we can even imagine. And
Yes.
I mean, that's something that I got from that project hypnosis I did with Angela, is where I put her in hypnosis and was asking questions on my project, Ropes and Wings. And, that's something that come up quite often, is that it is way bigger than I could even imagine. And there's way more things that need to be done yet, but it's going to be bigger than I ever could even imagine. And
Mm.
so, and that's just something that we have to, is it trust? Do we need to trust that it's going to be better than we can even
And
imagine?
Tony, could it be that that's exciting to you? Does it also make you fearful in some way? And maybe that's not the right word because it's so triggering.
Like that it would be too big. Is that what you're
Like
saying? Like it would be
it's like you're supposed to bring it into fruition. It's a is it a burden in any way? How does it, how
No,
does,
no, I don't think it's a burden. I guess I do feel some things where, I'm not, again, the guilt comes in. I feel like I'm not doing enough to bring it into
that's the word, guilt.
fruition. But I
Mm.
think we have to let go of that expectations and just
Yes.
trust that we're doing all that we can right now in the now moment, because, there might be some things at play that we don't understand, um, that is going to make
Might
this,
be.
that, well, there are things in play that we just don't understand at the time, that right now, this time where I'm just kind of sitting wintering,
Hmm. Mm.
is uh, has a greenhouse effect, that it's all growing, it's nurturing, it's
For the
ready.
roots.
It's ready. Yes, it's established in its roots, and when that sunshine hits, it's going to just pop out the greenhouse like that, and it's going to be huge. And I mean, that's kind of my dream for what I want here, is I just want to be the face of my empire, and just help nurture it and guide it into fruition, and
Kingdom.
yeah, my kingdom, my yeah, the emperor.
that's Tony's card right there.
Oh,
Oh,
did you save it?
No, that's what's crazy. I did the card pool, right, and it was
Uh-huh.
just the next card sitting on top.
Oh,
And I just happened to look over and see it as you were saying that. So yeah,
wow.
oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
awesome. That's awesome. So, we just gotta sit back and trust that everything is working out how it's supposed to, and we just need to follow those little signs that are presented to us and just go where we go. And we all have experiences through our life is when we're not following those little signs, those little intuition hits. We're not following. They get louder and louder and louder and louder until you have no choice but
Yes.
to acknowledge it. And that could come in way of a serious injury or something that knocks you out, that causes you to relax and sit down and think on things. And that's, but yet it's still hard as a guy trying to do that, though. It's hard to be able to sit back and just let things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And I think it's more difficult for me too, that, I have another half that I have her, there, that her frequency affects me too. So when she's down and out and stressing about things that are happening and going on, not enough money, not enough this, not enough that, I'm not working, so I'm not bringing in money. And when she's stressed out about it, boy, that really affects me. And if I wasn't married and if I didn't have that other half, I don't think it would be an issue. But it is difficult when you have that other half that may not be seeing quite what you're seeing.
But it's causing those foundational roots. It's the thing, the struggle is what makes us stronger, right?
Right. Yeah.
I don't see it working any other way, really. Toddlers don't learn to walk without falling down. It's impossible. It's ridiculous. They couldn't. And who was I talking to? I was just talking to someone recently, and I mentioned that, and I was shocked because they're like, "Well, I guess it's possible. Maybe some toddler could could learn to walk without falling down." And I couldn't help but think, like, that mindset is so deeply ingrained. I know that it wasn't that deep for me, but that is what I thought in terms of religion too, and spirituality. Was like, well, if I just picked all the right answers and got 100% on the test, everything would be great. And I've come to realize that's a lie. It has nothing to do with a test. It's a journey of learning. And that includes the failures, the falling down, what we call failures. They're supposed to happen. If they don't happen, if I live a life avoiding as much failure as possible, I'll believe that I failed to learn the things that I was intended to learn. And I think our culture is big time promoting that.
For sure. Yeah.
I was reminded of two. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
No, I was just going to say, how many people are on their deathbed just reviewing life, going, oh my God, I should have kissed that girl at the train station, when I was 17. I should have, it's just like, I know I would probably do that big time. So it's like, don't be that guy,
Yeah. Two mantras. I like these little phrases and mantras, I guess, and they help. I like to share them with people because I think it can help other people sometimes. But I guess I don't know where they came from. They came as like to help me, to help me battle against the lies that are so deeply ingrained from my childhood and things. And one came up thinking of the relationship to our children, and that I was thinking of when you guys were talking about that. And that is, I say the statement is, it is not my job to raise good kids. And that sounds pretty counterintuitive for most parents. And it was an epiphany for me because I really, truly have come to believe that. When my son, after my ex left, my daughter wanted to move out. She moved in with her 15-year-old boyfriend's family. She was still 17. I thought about sending the cops because she was 17, decided not to, but that happened. And then right after that, my son said he didn't believe in the Bible anymore. And I still was very much, the Bible's everything, right? And you can't, you cut loose the anchor if you let go of the Bible, was my perspective. And, oddly enough, now I'm where my son was, right? He was just ahead of me. But at the time, it felt like utter failure to me, right? As a father, as a husband, like it felt like my entire family was gone. And it was an epiphany to me. It sort of became necessary to let go of my kids, and certainly my ex, but my kids, and be like, you know what? I'm not responsible for their choices, and I was never supposed to be.
No.
I was busy trying to, like, oh, how do I teach them the right things? I got to teach them how to work hard. I got to teach them how to be responsible. I got to teach them how to, do the things they say they're, like get out of bed or just be commitment, and all these things. And I look back and I said, wow, all those things that I fought with, the ones that we butted heads over, the things that were the most frustrating and that I was most fearful about. Oh, I'm not getting this right. I'm not getting the message. I'm not raising good kids like I'm supposed to. Those things felt like they all just came back up, vomited back at me, right? In a lot of ways, and didn't work. And when I just look at my kids, however, forgetting about that, and I see their behaviors, their actions, their choices, I see me. All the things that I didn't try to teach them, good and bad, they're in my kids. And so there's a freeing component of like, oh, I'm not responsible in that phrase, right? It is not my job to raise good kids. So there's a freeing component, and there's a letting go component because I'm not supposed to control them. And then I realized that my job is to be the best fucking me that I can possibly be. That's it.
Yes, that's it.
And that's the best thing I can do for my kids. Because guess what? They're showing up in this world like me. They learn so much from me accidentally. So I need to be the best me. So it is not my job to raise good kids. The other one that I'm reminded of, Tony, is I cannot accidentally fuck this up.
Absolutely. And
those are great.
That's a good one. It's a good one. So, and there's that one that I use every day, and I've been using it every day, and I don't know where I got it from. And someone will probably say that I took it from somebody, but I did. I heard it from somewhere. Is all is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. And out of each experience that I go through, only good will come to me. I am safe. I am protected. I am loved.
I think I saw a video where you did that one.
Yeah. And I try to use that every day. I have it written where I go smoke my cigar and drink my cacao. And I say it every day. It's just pretty much memory. And even throughout the day, when things are going crazy or not happening the way I want them to, I just step back and just go say that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't accidentally fuck it up.
Yeah. That is freeing for me too, right? Like it's like I don't have to labor over each individual choice. I just pick something and go. Just go. That is tremendously freeing, because I was very much about, like, I was trying to get a fucking 100 on the test, Yeah.
But if you got a 100, well, then you wouldn't even know where you needed to study. You didn't need to study anymore because you're perfect.
But I was like laboring over every question on the test like it was critical for me to get the best possible grade, and I don't want to get it wrong, right? Because that could lead to failure. And like, it's this whole mindset that I'm like, dude, it's not about a test in the sense of pass or fail. It's a learning. That's what we're supposed to be doing here, I think. Enjoying the ride and learning. And no matter what I do, I cannot accidentally fuck it up.
It's awesome.
That's my favorite, I think that's my favorite.
That's great. Yeah, I'm going to remember that one.
Well, we were talking about muscle testing earlier, and I started using that all the time, like trying to help me tap into my intuition and practicing basically to tap into my intuition so I can make decisions better on the fly. And using that, if I have to decide whether I'm going to put hay into the cows or not, I'll use it. Any kind of choice I have to make, I'll use it just to help me, to relieve that issue that we have, that we're afraid to make the We're afraid to get the answer wrong, or we're afraid to get that question wrong.
Right. We're afraid we'll get the answer wrong, and so then we end up kind of putting it off, not answering it, not making a choice, and then
Right.
that's the same thing as
So if we
not making a choice.
if we practice tapping into our intuition and start following our intuition, our heart more,
Hmm.
then things will flow a lot easier, I think, for us.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, I also had to let go of the guilt when I look back on a decision and say, oh man, maybe I should have done the other thing because then this wouldn't have happened and then that wouldn't have happened and then this, and I would have avoided that flat tire or, whatever. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Right.
But
and
when
accept it.
when you look back on those guilt things and those seemingly negative things that happen, were
Mm,
all little signposts to get you to the right path that you were. You know,
yeah.
you come out, you're going to work or going someplace and your car don't start. Maybe that was the delay you needed to keep you from avoiding something else worse, or to maybe it was to keep you and make you think about something else, or who knows? Who knows what it
Yeah.
was really?
I also look at them as like sort of opportunities to practice being the best me or loving somebody else. Like
Hmm.
one that comes to mind that just happened the other day. We got some snow here, and I have this terrible driveway. It's a half mile rutted and up over the side of the ridge, and it's not quite as steep as yours, Tony. But when it gets slippery, it's hard to get up. Right, you need all-wheel drive for sure. Um, and my son has a front-wheel drive car, and he got stuck. And I just got new winter tires on my car that day. I had planned to do it that day, and it all came together. Like I went and got those, and he got stuck, and I was able to pull him out. But he did not put winter tires on his car, and I did suggest to him that that would probably be a good idea living where we live. So old me would have been frustrated at my son because I had to go pull him out because he didn't buy winter tires like I told him to, right?
Right.
That's the old parenting. Like, I'm supposed to teach my son how to do life. And I did. I told him how to buy fucking winter tires. But instead, I look at it as an opportunity for me to simply love and help my son. I, of course, did say, I think you probably would have made it up if you had winter tires. And he's like, yeah, I know, but this money, expensive, all that. But it was just an opportunity for me to love from a place of strength. And it's just a whole new thing for me. Letting go of all that baggage and all that pressure and having margin in my life for things to go wrong. That has made such a huge, dramatic difference in my life. Before, without margin, I guess, is a big part of it. Like feeling like the weight of the world is on my shoulder. Like I can fuck it up accidentally. And so like, oh no, I'm going to fuck it up. Then when every little thing in life goes wrong, like my son does something that causes me more work, it's frustrating. And then I'm not very loving. I'm grouchy and, complain and bitch about him not doing what I told him to, or suggested he did or recommended or whatever, right? I told you so. But when I have margin and let go of all that, wow, that's just such a different way to do life.
Mm.
Rewrite the story, I guess, is what we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
and we circle back to rewriting memories, rewrite the story, change it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Right.
There's a lot more power in rewriting the story than we even understand or imagine, huh?
Mhm.
Wow, that's hard for me to imagine. How you go back and change the past? Wow. Woo. And see the results in the future? Wow. Or in the today?
It's hard to wrap our little mind around it, but when you see the changes in a client, because we did that, we walked them through rewriting their story, rewriting their memory that they have that caused them so much trauma, so much anguish all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And when you simply just rewrite it, and I use the burning box method, you rewrite the story to change it to what they would rather see. It completely changes that younger self. And then I use the burning box method where I take all those emotions that they had that no longer served them, put them all into the box. Let's burn it. Let's watch it smoke go up into the atmosphere. Let's watch it burn down the ash. The wind takes the ash, and the rest of the ash gets absorbed into the earth and recycled.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed into high frequency and vibration. And that when clients say that they felt such an immediate relief on that, that's the telltale sign for me. That's the truth that I look for, is that it actually works, and it works well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's a great method.
I mean, I truly believe that we can rewrite our story. What we think is our reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, with my son, for example, what he thinks, what he believes right now is his story.
Mm-hmm.
He believes that I was a terrible father, that I wasn't there for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's his story. Because he said it to himself. He said it to himself so many times that's his reality.
Mm-hmm. And how do you write your reality, right? And not allow his reality to take it in a negative direction.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's the thing we struggle with. So if you're living your best life, my daughter, when I say that, she always brings up something. When you're living the best version of yourself that you can be, that's what you need to do. So just like you said, Chad, you're being the best self that you could be. That is how you are a better person. Your kids see that.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
I appreciate your vulnerability, Tony. I mean that. It's a safe place. Appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. So, but that's all we can do, is we can help heal ourselves. We can balance ourselves. We can feel more from the heart. We can live the best way we know how.
I feel how much this hurts and means to you and impacts you, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
How it feels like, I don't know. What does it feel like? Death?
No, I wouldn't say death. I guess I've kind of just left it go because it's his path. I cannot force him to believe or do a certain thing. I cannot teach him anything.
Mm-hmm.
I keep getting a tickle in my throat. Hang on.
You can't fuck him up either.
No. Nope. So you just let go and it'll all work out. It'll all work out for my highest good.
Mm.
Every experience I go through, only good will come to me.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's good. It's all good.
Deep roots. Deep roots. That girl, actually, that's just fresh in my mind because that's one of the things she said about was she feels like the last several years for her have been a period of putting down roots, and they're not, the fruit is not visible during this time, right?
Right.
There's not a lot of growth that's highly visible to us or others around us even.
Right. The tree looks like shit.
Yeah, but it's absolutely necessary for those roots, the hidden part, to grow before it can really shoot up and produce fruit and things, and it takes time. It takes time.
So guys, I'm gonna have to jump off. That was my ex calling. I couldn't figure out who was calling my phone. I don't get too many phone calls, but she's gonna bring him home, and he wants to go play in the snow. So
Nice.
Go play in the snow.
Where do you live again, Brad?
Southern Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him back because I thought she was going to go ahead and keep him all day, but
Beautiful.
That's how these
Enjoy.
things go. All right.
Great
Play-
meeting you, brother.
Well, this is
You too?
this is a good place to end it too. Anyway, so
Okay.
I mean,
Well, we're
that's
at about 2 hours, so that's
we're at
perfect.
2.5 hours almost.
What?
Yeah,
No, we started at 10.
we're at 2.
didn't we?
Well, we are 2 hours. We're at 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a good
Yeah.
place to end it. So that's awesome.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
How do you want to end it, Tony?
Well, just let's go play in the snow, for Christ's sakes. Go dance in the snow. Go play in the snow. That's how we're going to end it.
All right.
Fucking live your passion. That's
Beautiful.
what you need to do.
Live your passion. Yeah.
Live your passion. Live your joy. Go have
All right.
fun. Go dance in the snow. Sing and dance.
Love
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So
You
Appreciate
can't
guys.
fuck it up. All right.
absolutely. Love you
All right,
guys.
Chad. Nice
Love
meeting.
ya.
Yep. Love you guys. I'll
Love
see
you
you
all.
soon.
See
All
ya.
right.
Bye bye.
Bye.